Hello, this is a review slash recap of This Gilded Abyss by Rebecca Thorne. This is the first in the Titan's Wrath trilogy. I did like this book. I do want to read the other books in this series. However, by the time they come out, I will not remember anything about this, unless I make a full recap overview of the plot. So this video is mostly for me to rewatch when the second book comes out, and probably when the third book comes out, which I don't know when that is. I don't know if it's been announced. I don't even know what the title is. But whatever, I'll read it. We'll get there when we get there. I'm still waiting on Alecto the Ninth, so I'm sure I can wait on the second book of this series. I've read Rebecca Thorne's other series, the Tomes and Tea series, and so I know she's capable of completing a series. And I will get into comparisons with that book at the end, but I'm just gonna do the recap right now. There will be spoilers. Again, this is for me. I don't care. But it is just a brief overview of the plot here, so you are missing out on things. I do recommend this. It's a pretty good book if you're into fantasy, and like sort of there's like a subnautical theme here, and there's like not quite cosmic horror, but like gods, eldritch gods kind of things. It's pretty cool, and like fighting and death. Everyone dies in this. So our main character is Sergeant Nyx Marr. She's a soldier. She's pretty high ranking, well respected, been around a minute. She's just living her life at the moment, training her soldiers. She's got a good crew. She likes them. It's like her little found family. She's kind of crass. She likes to backtalk her superiors a lot, which is kind of weird because you'd assume in order to get promoted at some point in time she would have had to have been very formal and like following the rules in order to like gain that respect. But at this point she knows all of her superiors on like a personal level. And so, like, they kind of just let her get away with it, and everyone's like, you should watch your mouth, Nyx. But she never watches her mouth. And she very much just, like, immediately says whatever's on her mind, and there's no, like, sense of, I know I'm a soldier and I'm not supposed to say this, but I feel so strongly that I have to say it, or I've earned the right to say it because of my rank. And so she just kind of backtalks a lot, which maybe someone could criticize here. I didn't think this was, like, a perfect 5-star book, but I'd give us, like, a 4 stars. I enjoyed it. So she's a soldier, minding her business, and then one day, one of the royals comes, which is Subarch Cassandra, who's, like, second in charge. Not quite in charge. She has some power. The royal structure here is kind of vague. We'll learn more about that, I'm sure. But she is kind of second in command. If not in command, she's, like, second in line for the throne, which isn't, like, a throne, like a royal throne. I don't think it's a bloodline thing. I don't know. But there's a Primarch who's really in charge, and he kind of wants her dead. I think it's a he. We don't meet them. I don't know. We'll learn more about them, I'm sure. But the Primarch wants Cass dead because she does have a lot of support and, like, could potentially usurp him, that person. And so Cassandra, the Subarch, is going on this secret mission to these mines, these Icaron mines, which are really dangerous, and she and Nyx were actually conscripted at the mines together years ago, and they were actually like a couple, kinda. They were hooking up, they were a thing, a romantic thing, and then it all fell to shit. The mines are really dangerous. Nyx's best friend died, and Cassandra was there when he died, and like Cassandra lived when he didn't. And so Nyx has always sort of resented Cassandra for living here, and Cassandra's also felt like the guilt of this, and so they've like split up and like not really talked about it. And now they're meeting again, and they're kind of butting heads, and Nyx doesn't, really want to talk to Cassandra, doesn't really quite respect her because she backtalks everyone. But Cassandra is like, you should come on this trip with me. I need a bodyguard. It's super dangerous. The Primarch's trying to kill me. And also I'll give you a bunch of money and your sick dad can get some medicine, which is like a little cheesy, but like whatever, we'll go with it. So Nyx begrudgingly goes with Cassandra on this trip. And I thought this book would be about the mines and them like going to the mines, because there's been some mysterious incident where a lot of people died in this really gruesome way that isn't explained. And it's like, is it a monster or is it a human? They have like an opposing race of people. There's another group of people, another nation, who they're at war with the Trellians. Some people. And that's who they're fighting, and they've been like fighting wars with them. Whatever. They're gonna go investigate the mines, except they don't ever get to the mines. This book mostly takes place on the submarine between the city and like the next city they're going to, which is like fantasy Las Vegas. That's what I'm gonna describe it as. So for most of this book, everyone is locked together on this ship. Now, the thing that they're mining, this substance called Icaron, which just reminds me of Metal from Heaven. Icaron is this magical substance that you can put it in anything and it makes everything better. It's like magic plastic. Icaron stitches for like medicinal use. They heal way faster. You feel way better immediately. Icaron swords are better. Icaron medicine is better. Icaron bullets are better. Icaron everything is just better. And it's also really expensive, and so like all the rich people have things. And this submarine is decked out with like soldiers' quarters, and then like the rich people passengers, because we have like sort of soldiers going to the mines, and then we have like passengers going to this big city, which is basically like Las Vegas. That's what I'm gonna call it. It's called the Fall. It's Las Vegas. It's supposed to be like this big, fancy city. But oh no, Icaron maybe, possibly, has negative side effects through prolonged exposure. There are people with like Icaron implants. Cassandra has an Icaron eye that allows her to like see better. And she has long been suspicious of this substance and like maybe possible negative side effects. And there's some implications that the Primarch is trying to kill her because she's going to uncover his big scheme. Like, this is the metal property element, whatever. It's literally the blood of the gods. I mean, that's not a spoiler because it's Icar, god blood. But if she exposes this thing as being dangerous, then it like fucks up their whole economy. And so the Primarch's like, we're gonna kill this lady. And she's been experimenting on herself. She's been like testing it, and she wants to find out more about. Oh, that's her thing. And it turns out the closer they get to the source of the Icaron, which I keep wanting to call Icarite because I like the book Metal from Heaven by August Clark, which is a similar sort of idea, differently executed, very different plots and characters and world building, but it's a fantasy Icarite metal that causes health problems with people who have been exposed to it for a prolonged period of time. But in this book, the Icaron, when they get closer to the source, it makes you like violently angry, and then you just like explode and kill people, and like hack people to bits and are like super angry. And what do you know, people start going crazy and killing each other, and basically everyone in this book dies. Like literally by the end, I think Cass and Nyx are literally the only two people who survive on this boat. Everyone dies. And we get a lot of moments where it'll be like, oh no, that side character who was nice to us in that one scene is dead. This is awful. And every single time I'm like, who is that? Who's that name? There's a lot of names. Some of these people I didn't quite remember on first read, but again, they all die. Spoiler alert. So not that important. There's one important side character who's Leon, I believe is his name. He is one of Nyx's like soldiers, and she keeps trying to convince him to not go on this trip and not work in the mines because it's super dangerous. And one of her other friends died in the mines, and so like she doesn't want to lose another soldier. Turns out he's actually a Trellian spy, and he's like sabotaged the boat, and he like fucking tries to sink the boat. Is it sinking? They're in a submarine. I guess you can't sink a submarine, but he like tries to fuck it up. He kills a lot of people. I mean, everyone dies. Everybody dies. And then basically at the end of the book, they end up in the city of Fall. Nyx and Cassandra. Everyone else is fucking dead. But they get the Fall, and it's kind of weird. There's no one around, and they don't know if people have been warned about this ship and instructed to like stay at home and get away from them, or like if everyone's dead. Everyone might be dead. And that probably has something to do with the god, the Titan. Their god is called Lumos that they worship. The Trellians worship a different god, which is why they're at war, or like partly why they're at war. And like Leon has a thing where he exposes the sort of what are we? I don't know what these people are called. Like I don't know what the main character's like country is called. Does it say? I might be dumb. It's like 9:00 at night, which is late for me, and I'm recording this because if I don't do it now, I will forget everything by the morning. But Nyx learns that her god is like literally like this Titan, and it's like evil, and it feeds on fear, and that's why everyone goes crazy and kills each other, because they have this thing with their god's blood. Their god is called Lumos. And I don't know, seems like maybe he's like a vengeful god, and there's another god whose name I don't remember. It's not Helios, but it's something like that. It's the other one. There are only 2 gods' names, so like when I read the second book, I'll know what I'm talking about here. Then we get some inklings that Cassandra has heard of this story and about the gods battling and about there being another god, but wasn't quite sure what to believe, doesn't know a lot about it. They're gonna learn more about that in the other books, I'm sure. And they learn something about like the Titans being asleep under the water. There's a funny line early on where Nyx is talking about there's this giant bones of this giant creature that like this city is built around, or like this tunnel, this area is built around, and it's like fucking a massive carcass. And Nyx is like, scientists are 87% sure that nothing like this is still alive, and I'm 87% sure that I believe them, or something like that. It's a funny line. This isn't a very funny book. It's not cozy. Her other books were cozy fantasy. This is not cozy fantasy. It's much more serious and like just straightforward second world fantasy. So in the next books, we're going to learn more about the god stuff, and then there's also this sort of supernatural element with this creature called the Crypt Keeper that supposedly has haunted the mines. It's like this legend that like this Crypt Keeper beast, you'll see the eyes and like it'll follow behind you and you'll feel it, and then it'll like kill everyone. And all of the disasters in the mines have been blamed on this Crypt Keeper. And Nyx has seen the Crypt Keeper in the mines, and that's part of why she doesn't like it and warns everyone not to go there, and like knows there's some truth to this. And she also, in this book, she's taken up photography because her dead friend who died in the mines, he was a photographer, and she sort of took on his hobby as a remembrance of him. And so in this book she actually gets a picture of the Crypt Keeper and like the eyes, and then they have like proof that it's a real thing. And it's also on this boat, and I'm sure it's connected to the god somehow, because it's again like an Icaron thing. We'll get more of that. I don't know how well this series is gonna mesh like this sort of supernatural element with the god element, with the physical element of the Icaron. There's like a lot of things that go into like this sort of Icaron disease poisoning. And I don't know how it's going to balance that, because at first it seems like a physical thing, then it's a supernatural thing, then it's a god thing. We'll see how that all comes together in future installments. But what else do we have going on? The romance, they reconnect over this book. Nyx learns that the accident that killed her friend, it wasn't Kess's fault. Kess actually would have saved him, but like she didn't have like the supplies, the air supplies. They're in a mine, whatever. And she learns that Kess feels really bad about it. They get closure over this terrible event that put a rift between them. And then they grow closer, and then they get like one sex scene, which is good and different from her other book. Like the cozy fantasy series didn't have any spicy moments. They like flirted, but like it didn't go into detail. These guys get one sex scene before everything goes to absolute shit, because you know. But this definitely isn't a book heavily focused on the romance. It's focused on the plot. There's a lot of plot. There's a lot of action going on. I do like the action. Some of it was a little boring, like towards the end, which is kind of weird to say. But we get all these like revelations, and it's like people, and then those people die, I think. Stuff. And also at the end of this book, we're left with like physical health questions. Both of these characters do not feel good, and have like, well, one, they've survived like this boat crash, almost drowning, fight scenes, lots of people like fight and get killed that way as well. And they're both sort of infected with this Icaron poisoning, but they're trying to find a way around it or to lessen it. Cassandra ends up getting her Icaron eye taken out so that it isn't directly poisoning her, but Nyx actually dies at one point, but is able to be revived through Icarite medicine, and like, so she has Icaron, it's not Icarite, that's Metal from Heaven, which is like a better book. But I like this. It's very different, that's mean to say, because these are just like two different books, with like completely different like prose styles. and like different kinds of fantasy worlds. That's like a bandit western, highwayman, robbery kind of story. And this is like a naval battle kind of story. Whatever. Ikeron. She has Ikeron inside of her, and so she's scared, that she could go crazy and snap at any time, and they're both experiencing symptoms of this. So it's not that their days are numbered, they're really at any time liable to go off the rails, sort of. They don't know exactly how this works. No one's been allowed to study this. And also, apparently it depends, like, where you are, and, like, how close you are to the Titan god, Lumos, stuff. And so, whatever, they're gonna go find one of Cassandra's cousins and investigate the City of Fall and see what's going on, and probably confront, like, the Primarch and stuff. I don't know. We'll get there. I'm excited to find out. I did like this. If the second book were out, I would read it right now. I would just read this trilogy. I think I need to start reading sci-fi trilogies all together, all at once. I'm thinking of the Bethany Jacobs These Burning Stars trilogies, which I read the first 2 books of, and then remembered that the 3rd book is coming out soon, and I don't remember jack shit about the first 2 books. And I watched someone else talking about those first 2 books, and I'm like, wow, I forgot literally all of that. So I need to start reading sci-fi series complete, together, the whole thing all at once. That way I can enjoy the whole thing and then forget it, and it doesn't matter if I forget it. But this book was good. I guess this is the review portion. I liked this. I didn't think it was perfect. I thought the beginning was kind of slow, but that might just be a me thing, because it takes me a minute usually to get accustomed to a sci-fi world, because there's like ranks and titles and names and world building and like stuff going on, and I'm like, I don't know what any of this stuff is yet. But you pick up on it throughout the book. I wasn't confused by the end of this, really. I mean, there's still more to learn, and we get like hints at things, and so I don't know everything, but I was comfortable with the information I needed to know to enjoy the book. I think this is probably a better book than her Tomes and Tea series. Again, it's different. It depends what you want out of genre. If you want a cozy fantasy, you want that one. If you want a book where everyone dies, you want this one. This is just much more serious in tone. It's much more traditional fantasy. So it just depends on what you want. I do think maybe I don't want to say the seriousness elevates it, that makes it better literature. But maybe it does, actually, because there's like higher stakes. And like, I wouldn't say that I'm more invested in these characters, actually. But I did read 4 books of the other characters. And so, like, maybe that's not a good point in time to make that comparison. But I do think that sort of lighthearted, charming, funny tone of the Tomes and Tea series does make you a little more endeared to the characters. In this book, everyone dies. I did like Nyx and Kes, though. And I do like their relationship, and I like the sort of build-up and like the history. I kind of wanted more of that, but again, it's not a romance novel, so I wasn't expecting a ton of that. But I do want to hear more about like their relationship at the start, like years ago before this book starts, and I do want to see where it goes, but I do think it'll be plot heavy. I don't think the later books will really have any more romance. I don't think it needs it. I don't think that's the book it wants to be. I think it wants to be a serious fantasy novel, and I think it succeeds in that fairly well. I think there's a lot of interesting world building going on. I think there will be more. I think it will scale appropriately, as you expect from a sequel of a fantasy series. I'm sure we'll learn more and more about the broader world and the Trillians and their god Helios. It's not Helios. I don't remember her name. I don't know why I'm saying her. It was like a girly name. It was a girl name. I'm diagnosing it as a girl. All names are gendered now, I said so. But I do think I was more drawn to this world than I am to the worlds of Tomes and Tea, which was just like them in a little town and a bookshop. I did like the little town. The little town was really charming. And like their neighbors and the locals was good. But I do think this is objectively more interesting world building and like better world building. It's just classic. It's just a classic sci-fi novel. Did I say sci-fi? I guess it's just fantasy. It's kind of like a weird mix of future technology and past technology, because she has like this old-timey black and white camera, but they do have like cool advanced submarine technology, so it's like a mix of retro sci-fi fantasy. I don't think it's sci-fi, because it's just second world fantasy. whatever. I've probably said sci-fi a bunch of times in this. I don't know, man. I enjoyed it. Interested in seeing the god stuff. Interested in seeing, like, is Nyx gonna be okay with the Icaron? Is her dad gonna be okay? Because he's taking Icaron medicine. But he's far away from the god, so, like, whatever. I guess if you steal the god's blood and just, like, take it way over there, that's fine. He can't do anything. But if you take the god's blood and just, like, flaunt it in front of him, then he gets a little pissed. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I am excited to see. I like this author. I think the writing is better in this than in Tomes and Tea. Because I know not everyone was, like, enthusiastic about Tomes and Tea. And I don't think it's, like, the greatest written book in the world. It's not bad writing. But it's not, like, impressive writing. And I think this was more good. It's more classic. I think if you didn't like Tomes and Tea and you wanted a more serious book and, like, more solid, sound, foundational world building, I think you'll like this better than her other series, if you weren't keen on that. But I think if you like fantasy sci-fi, you'll like this. Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty solid start. I'm into it.